it would seem that for once in my life, I am live on time. I have clicked the button exactly when I was supposed to. And I also managed to do my videos on my channel, so I'm not going to be worried about time or anything. I can just spend the afternoon entertaining you while the media circus is about to commence. Apparently, Jesus Christ was also arrested before Easter. And there's many reactions on the internet. Like, my favorite has to be from the press. The press is like, he is the first person that got convicted of a crime. We don't know what exactly is the conviction, but we're sure that he is guilty. Interesting. Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? It's like, well, I don't know what he did, but he probably did it. Did the Sumerians have a bank? I don't know. Banks are actually quite interesting phenomenons throughout history. Like the Italians are probably one of the first banking systems. Have probably one of the first banking systems that I heard about. Because like there were two reasons to have banks, right? Like first of all was to keep your money safe. Like, if you had a lot of money, back then they were only in coins, right? So you didn't have like money in the shape of paper. So you literally like had treasure chests of money if you're a noble, if you're a rich person. So, you know, if you wanted to keep them safe, like if you're a merchant or someone, you would put them in a bank. But there was another use for people that traveled, right? So imagine if you were a merchant during the colonial era and had to travel between continents. Like, what do? Do you bring all of your money with you? And one of the solutions was to go to the Italian banks. They'll give you a piece of paper, which was like a check. And it was available to any other place that had an Italian bank, right? So you would travel from Italy to France, and in France, you would just go to the bank and you show them, it's like, look, I have this. And they would give you a withdrawal. It's kind of like a credit card. But still, Dodge coins, yeah. No, it is interesting. It is interesting because I assume that money used to be quite an inconvenience that we don't think about it before paper. And you realize that when you play Dungeons and Dragons, it's like, all right, so you play D&D and you have like 2,000 gold coins. How do you carry them? I mean, they don't necessarily go in a bag, especially if you have a high number. Like, let's say you have 10,000 gold coins. Well, at that point, you need to put them in a chest. And if you travel, like, you need to carry the chest with you. But the chest is big, it's visible. Like, you're a target now. So, there's an interesting thing in history. But I want to talk about this particular lady, right? So, I made a video about her. I uploaded the video. But before we go on, I want to talk about her because there is some conversation that's happening here, which I find very interesting.
I'm literally shaking right now because I just had a man approach me in a parking lot.
So she's literally shaking because she had a man approach her in the parking lot.
And it went fine, and I'm going to tell you why it went fine and how to address it, because it was in a book I read, and this is...
So she read it in a book, she did it, and now she's telling you how to do it.
How you're supposed to address it, but it scared me. I'm literally shaking.
Okay.
So this guy, I am alone with my son, by myself, a woman.
So with her son, by herself. Well, if you're with your son, you're not alone. And we know you're a woman. Like, we can see that.
And a male approached me in a parking lot. He's, excuse me, miss. And I don't know why in the hell he was approaching me or what he was trying to do. And
it's interesting because she says she doesn't know why the man approached her. But in another video, she says that he was a beggar.
Before he was probably 30 feet from me when he...
30 feet, that's like 9 meters. All right, so it's not like he's Plastic Man and is able to snatch her. Like, that is a fucking safe distance. Like, 30 feet, that's... Jesus. You have to shout in order to hear the person.
He said, excuse me, ma'am. And I turned around and I literally yelled at him. And I said, do not approach me. And he, like, immediately started going...
Well, yeah, when people yell at you, right? Especially if it's out of the blue, especially if it's unreasonable, you're going to be like, what the fuck? You know, like if I talk to a person and they start yelling like me, I will think like, oh, that must be an unhinged individual.
In the other direction, and I just kept saying it over and over and over. I said, do not approach me, do not.
So he's already like moving away, and she just keeps repeating it, right? Like, but the thing is, she's making a TikTok video about it. Like she thought that this is such a smart way of handling the situation that she needs to give wisdom to the rest of the internet. So anyway, right? I remember a video with Sam Hyde, and Sam Hyde pointed out that if you have like a female police officer stopping you, and you're taller than her, you're more muscular than her, you're more intimidating than her, you can get shot. Like she can get frightened, right? Like she can get scared because you're more intimidating. And the thing is, I looked into the comment section of that video, and there were like a lot of women saying, "Oh well, you don't get to talk if you're not a woman. You don't get to tell a woman when she should feel safe and not." And I'm like, okay, well by that logic, Sam Hyde is correct. Like if you have a female police officer, and I as a man, you know, like I don't get to tell her when she's intimidated. Police officers have guns. You know, I'm just saying. Like you just start praying at that point. Trey Daniel says the same chick complained people wouldn't compliment her in the grocery store. I do think like TikTok is a mistake. A lot of people who watch TikTok, like they take it for gospels, and this is why the videos go viral. But you have to put yourself in the face of the content creator of TikTok. Like they just want views, they just want clicks, and sometimes the content creator will just say whatever the fuck they want in order to get attention. However, with that out of the way, take into account that the people commenting on those videos are legit. So when you go into the comment section and you say, "Oh well, you shouldn't tell a woman if she should be scared or not," and it's like, "Yeah, I think I should," if it's like 30 meters away, and you don't even know what the guy is. Like what is the other option, right? Like if you find a wallet and it belongs to a woman, you just keep it. If you see that the woman has a flat tire, you let her find out on the freeway. If she's being assaulted, I'm like, oh well. Not my woman, not my problem. Hi V, will there be any tomboys in your game? There actually will be a succubus that's a gamer. Thank you for asking though. But still, right, like it's insane. It's like mental insanity. And the idea is like, oh, you're not a woman, you don't know how it's like. So basically if I see a woman attack on the street, right, like I see two guys harassing a woman, I should be, well, I'm not a woman. I don't know how it's like to be harassed by two guys. I mean, maybe she likes it. I'm not going to intervene. Right? Because like, you're basically saying that unless you are that particular gender, you don't know how it's like. Okay, so if I don't know how it's like, then it means that for better or for worse. Right? Like, I've never been a woman being harassed by two guys. I've never been. So maybe it's good. Maybe like she's used to it. Maybe she wants to prove that she's strong and independent and can defend herself. Like, this is the mentality that they're selling. Just bewildering. If she has a flat tire, why is she out of the house with... I mean, I do see women being able to handle flat tires. That's not the point. Like, the point is it's nice to point it out to someone. It's like, hey, you know, like, maybe you didn't notice, but, like, your tire is low. And, you know, you may not want to figure that out on the freeway. But it is what it is. You know, like, I'm not a biologist, yes. Yep, the average e-girl. The circus that you miss is going to be Trump's indictment. I do have an article which actually goes through it. It's very interesting. So, we got it from the Daily Wire. But we're going to read it in a bit. I want to keep it as... after the first 30 minutes of the video. But it's so, you know, like my favorite part is that someone pointed out to her, you're in a parking lot and it's the middle of the fucking day, right? Public space. And someone said, it's like, look, and showed an article with a man that tried to kidnap a baby from a parking lot. And I'm like, you do realize just how unhinged this is, right? Like, you're not showing me a statistic. You're basically saying that at one point this happened. This is like me showing you that in my town, a tree fell down on a person, right? Like, there was a storm, and it pushed over the tree, and it fell down, and it smashed the car or whatever. And because of that, I should now be afraid of going next to trees. Like, do you not think that people will consider me unhinged? I mean, yeah, sure, it can happen, but like the probability of a tree falling on you is very low. To the point where it's neglectable. Like, you're not going to just, walk out of the house and just look at the trees. It's like... And my favorite point is like, oh, yeah, well, yeah, but like, if the tree looks crooked. And I'm like, yeah, but in her example, that tree was steady and sturdy, ma'am. Civil War. When we see Civil War? Civil War! Is Tim Pool talking about that still? I mean, I need to check. Hold on. My fucking god. At this point, it's not even clickbait. Like, it's expectable. Tim Pool, Civil War. Alright. So I want to see when is the last time Tim Pool talked about Civil War, but it's actually really difficult because he usually puts it in the thumbnail. So I can't have a search function for that. So the last time on Timcast was 3 months ago. He talked about Civil War, but I want to see on his main channel. Wait, it's not called Timcast IRL is his all right. Tim Pool is his main channel, right? Let's see when he talked about Civil War.
For the longest...
Sure. You know what? He doesn't talk about Civil War anymore. Holy shit. 6 months ago. At least he doesn't put it in the title. So, I don't know. Like, maybe he still talks about it. But he doesn't put it in the title nor the thumbnail. The last time he talked about Civil War was 3 months ago. So maybe he reevaluated. He reassessed the military position. Sorry, I'm such a jerk. Ignore me. No, but it was good. Now it's World War III. All right, let me look back. Well, if you're going to say Tim Pool is right, like, you should give a deadline, because if you make a prediction, like, eventually it may happen. Like, if I say World War III will come to pass, like, after, I don't know, 150 years, like, maybe. So you need to be accurate. Okay, so World War III, Tim Pool talked about it 7 months ago. 7 months ago, and he was like, Pelosi sparks fear of World War III as she is visiting Taiwan. Naruhodo. Yeah. He talks about it in practically every video. He stopped putting it in the title. Oh, that makes sense. I don't know. Like, if you actually watch him and he talks about it in every video, then I guess I'm wrong. All right, we got the woman that's upset that no one is approaching her at the grocery store. Let's watch this. I don't even know who this lady is, but I guess she's quite popular because she's getting views.
So my husband took my son grocery shopping. You know where this is going, right? Guess how many people came up to him in the grocery store and were just oohing and awing over the baby and telling him what a great job he was doing. Guess how many people come up to me when I'm grocery shopping with him?
This is like a third wave feminist, I guess. She's like salty because it's like, oh, so a man with a kid gets attention, but a woman with a kid doesn't. I don't even know, like, okay, if you don't like, come to Romania and no one will give a fuck. Alright, like, if it's so insufferable, if it's so unbearable that your husband is getting attention when you're with the son, when he's with the son, come to Romania. No one will care. Like, no one gives a fuck. No one gives you attention for that. Problem solved. If you don't like that shit, move away from your country. I don't even know if it's true in America. Like, is this true? Like, if you're a man with a kid, do you get attention? I mean, in 2023 though, right? Because I will take things that didn't happen for $5,000, please. Like, I could see it maybe in the 20s or something like that, right? Like, and the reason that the man would get attention was like the woman would stay home, right? Like, he's and the husband is the breadwinner, right? So the husband is the breadwinner, and he goes to works for like 8-10 hours a day, and comes home, right? So like, if after 8 and 10 hours he comes home and he manages to have time to take the kids out as well, yeah, I mean, that's to be commended. Right? And I'm pretty sure that back then, like when women went into the workplace, they would be commended as well. Sorry, it's like when you're developing video games, you get to talk to people when you get to talk to people. But women see men who care for kids as something that can be used. I don't think is the case, man. Like if you if you're a woman and you see a guy with a kid, the first thing that you're probably assuming is that he is married and taken. Like women aren't like succubi and they're like, I will snatch him from the other. You know, like I mean, maybe they are in the United States. I don't know. But here in Romania, like, that just doesn't fucking happen. I'm hacking the Pentagon. Yeah, well, I can type really fast. I think, like, I'm actually in the top 10% of the world at typing. At least based on the people that took the typing test. Because there are a couple of places online where you can go and type. And whenever I did it, I was, like, either in the 10 or 5%. Can we first address why would a married woman want attention from other men? No. Like that wasn't her point, right? Like her point wasn't that she's getting attention. Her point was that the gender isn't equal, right? Like her point was that when she is out with the kid, like that's considered normal for women to have kids. But when the husband is out with the kid, people congratulate him, right? Like so that's why she was upset. Like she would prefer if either neither gets congratulated or both get congratulated. But that's like the type of mentality which leads to the abolition of gender that I'm pretty sure she doesn't like. You know, like the idea that well, how do you know that your husband identifies as a man? Like, what if your husband identifies as a woman? Click. So anyway, right. But still, it is what it is. And by the way, I'm even curious, like if men that have kids are attractive for women, right? Because single mothers aren't that attractive. And I know this is shocking. Like when you tell this to a woman, like why would I not? Why? And it's like, well, it's very simple. There's plenty of reasons, right? Like first of all, maybe I don't want you to have another man in your life. Right? Because, like, the daddy is probably going to want custody. He's probably going to want to visit, right? Maybe I don't want to deal with that. Why would I want to deal? You know, would you want to deal if I had, like, an ex-girlfriend that would come to visit every week? Right? So that's one. Number two, like, maybe I want to experience the joy of parenthood together with someone for the first time. Number three, like, maybe I don't want to be put in a position where I end up not loving the kid as I love my own. Number four, maybe she just doesn't want a second child, but I do. Like, there are so many fucking ideas. And then, number five, it's like, okay, so if your relationship didn't work the first time, why would it work now? And I know it's unfair. It's unfair. It's like having a job gap, right? Like, if you have a job gap on your resume, and you may have valid reasons for that job gap. I mean, maybe you are sick, maybe, like, whatever, right? But it's a job gap, and other companies may not be willing to hire you. And it's unfair, sure, but what are you going to do? Shame the companies into hiring you? I don't think that works. V has patented the two-finger search and destroy typing method. Let me show you how fast I type. Alright, so let me see if I can find a typing test. And you guys can tell me if I type fast or not. So, typingtest.com, complete the test in, alright. 1 minute test. I think this is good. Alright, I think I can show it. I'll have to put my microphone away so that, Alright. So I think I can type faster than this. 66 words per minute. Oh no, hold on.
When the stakes
Do I have to watch this? Oh my god, I have to watch this. Give me a second. I think I can skip the commercial.
are
Come on.
high at work, your tone matters. Grammarly's advanced tone suggestions.
Here we go. So according to this, I am fast. I'm not a professional though. Oh shit, I did typos because I forgot to capitalize letters. And also, I'm using a different language setting on my keyboard, so I don't really know where the some of the signs are. But still, I think if I do the test 2 more times, I will actually get a better result. But you know, like a lot of people that enter my room when I'm typing are impressed, and I'm like, dude, I don't think I'm doing something out of the ordinary. Like, isn't this how people type? I'm being scrutinized? Oh. I don't know, like, I just... Again, if I take it 2 more times, I'll do better, but I don't want to bore you guys. Better than a B, accuracy-wise. When you learn about ad blockers... I don't want to use ad blockers if my own job is based around them. I find that to be hypocritical. It was fast. My thank you. Again, like, I think I could go a lot faster if I relax. When I explain to women in my family that they act like I'm being a snob and think that I am better than them, I tell them no, it's just preference. I don't know. I mean, it's not like being better. You know, like, there was this interview, and this is actually hilarious. So, there were guys who were saying that they like big tits. And the women immediately said, it's like, oh, well, this is because of society, right? Like, this is social pressure, social standards, blah, 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 right? And then the guys go like, okay, but women like tall men. And they were like, oh, yeah, but, like, this is evolutionary, right? So basically, you have this childish mindset that some people have, which is that they're trying to justify, like, why they get to have preferences, but, like, why other people don't. Because obviously, like, there's preferences that women have on men. Like, for instance, if a man is a plumber, a lot of educated women will not date them. Like, this is statistically proven. That educated women do not prefer working class men, right? So, like, if they don't have a university degree, they wouldn't even date them. Even if they make money, right? Like, a plumber can make a lot of cash. So, you get to have, like, this interesting thing, where the standards that women have are considered normal and evolutionary, but the standards that men have are considered pathological. So, and, you know, boob size is one of them. Not wanting to date single mothers is another them. But again, it is what it is. And I'm really curious, like, if women want to date single dads. But I think, like, especially in America, single dads are quite rare. Because of the way the custody works, right? Like, usually women get the custody. With the exception, I suppose, if the woman, like, just doesn't want the kid, which is very rare, or if the woman passes away, right? Then you have a single dad. And I'm curious, like, if women find single dads to be attractive. I don't know. It is about prestige, yes. It's not necessarily about the education, but as I pointed out, like, during COVID, a truck driver was making 6,000 euros a month. Sorry, 6,000 euros a week, right? Assuming they would work a lot and they would work in weekends as well. But still, like, 6,000 a week. Holy shit. So that would be like, like $24,000 a month? Obviously, it was unsustainable and they didn't earn that much after COVID. But, like, during that period, yeah. And this was also due to regulations in California, where you couldn't drive whatever truck you wanted, and the trucks that required, that had, like, the qualification to be driven looked like fucking spaceships, very expensive, but still. Hello, Xander. It is about social status. Yeah, it's not just about being rich, right? It's about both. Like, you need to have social status and be rich. Like, if you're a lawyer that doesn't get any clients, you would probably not get dated. But that's not my point. My point is that, of course, women have preferences, right? And when it comes to sex and dating, I don't think that preferences should be discussed, right? Like, they're the ones that come up with the idea that no means no. So if no means no, then I don't have to justify why I say no. It can be for any reason. I'm guessing that they see the husband is stable and they can provide. Well, yeah, but like, you got a kid in the house, man. It's not just that. Like, you got a kid that's not yours, and maybe you like him, maybe you don't. You know, like, maybe he's misbehaving. It's different. Not dating single moms because I don't want to be the third wheel in the relationship. Yeah, I mean, it's literally that, right? Like, there's another husband that's the father. Sorry, there's another man that's the father. Especially, like, heaven forbid he's in prison or some shit, right? And at one point, you know he's going to want to visit, right? And maybe he wants to assert dominance or something like that. Why would I even bother with that? Now, of course, you know, if I was younger and I didn't have a wife and I'm dating, I wouldn't say, like, never means never, right? Like, maybe there is, like, that single mom, but you'd have to compensate with so fucking much. Like, you would have to compensate so much, it's unreal. Women do like men with kids, but liking them isn't the same as appreciating them or seeing them as people or anything. Well, I don't know. Again, like, it would be interesting. Do I have any women in the chat? Come on, there must be women in the chat. The only way a man should date a woman with child, the dad needs to be in the ground. Yeah, I mean, if the father is dead, that definitely counts, right? Like, cause okay, well, it's not her fault, right? Like, the relationship didn't end or anything like that. You're not going to get conjugal visits from the father, so all right, you know, that's different. But even though, like, imagine when the kid grows up and is going to find out that you are not the father, like, how would they react, right? Like, maybe you have emotionally invested years of your life into that child, and then they grow up and they're like, oh, well, you're not my dad anyway. Especially if the relationship is bad, right? Because, like, it happens, like, some relationships with family members don't end up being great. Like, you don't know, right? And sometimes may not even be your fault, but it is what it is. I feel like, aside from the 15% of uptight rich women, the rest of us are looking for a dude that's not schizo and not homeless. I don't think so. I think, like, I kind of understand why women are picky, though. It's not just biological, but, like, imagine you're in an alternative universe. You're in a universe with monster girls, right? And monster girls really like men. So you're like flooded with women. Like, you get women just calling you. Like, you log on your Facebook, you get like 150 messages every single day from women, right? When you're at that level, of course you're going to be picky, right? Of course you're going to be like, oh, well, you know, I can be with any woman I want. Well, the one that I get to choose needs to be perfect. I absolutely did not see eye to eye with my stepmom. Well, there you fucking go. Look what Tactical Droid is saying. There you fucking go. But it's not just your stepmom, right? Like, it can even be like a real parent. Like, your flesh and blood, that you just don't get along with them. Now, sometimes you make an effort because it's like, well, they're family. But if you find out that they're a stepmom or a stepdad, do you even make that effort? Because you're like, well, they're not even family, so who cares? The difference is that a man would have multiple women. Yeah, but, like, assuming you can only have one, right? Like, if you try to have multiple, they all leave you. Like, they get jealous, they get upset. They're like, you know, like, you're cheating on me. And if you have multiple, like, your prestige goes down because people start calling you a womanizer, right? So, like, no, you have to choose. You gotta have one. You can't have many. If there's an abundance of women, there would be men with multiple women. Yeah, but again, like, it would be a social taboo, just for the sake of the experiment. Like, you're not allowed. I mean, technically you can get away with it, but you would be considered a womanizer, and women would start being interested in you. So you'd have to make a choice. Just pick one. Date with a divorced woman isn't funny. Yeah, there's also another thing, right? There's a reason why the first relationship usually lasts longer than others. So for me right now, for example, and I think for my wife as well, divorce is something unconceivable. Like, you can't even wrap your head, like, what do you mean divorce, right? Like, no. I can't imagine a situation like that. But after you go through the first divorce, well, then it's just like paperwork, so you start to know the drill, you know the motions, so the second divorce comes a lot easier. The third divorce is probably just, you know, like, you get to see Hollywood actors that get like 7 or 9 divorces. I mean, at that point, Is it even marriage, or is it more like a relationship? One woman already has a lot of emotional drain. Who would want multiple? Well, it depends, right? Like, are we talking about sex, or are we talking about like proper relationship? You are willing to take more nonsense the first time. That is a good point. You know, like even when you're a teenager and you're in your first relationship, like you're willing to take in more nonsense. But as the relationships go, and you're in your second, in your third relationship, like the level of bullshit that you're willing to handle becomes less and less. I remember like when I was dating, right? And the first time you're dating and you're unexperienced, and you see a woman that's being flaky, maybe she stands you up on dates, like you're trying to kiss her and she's like, oh, I'm not ready yet, blah blah blah. You're willing to put up with that bullshit, right? But like after you have your fifth girlfriend, and like women are being flaky and they stand up, it's like, okay, well, I'm never calling her again. Like if she's calling me, that's fine, but like I'm not going to waste my time. Like I got other women, yeah, I got other people to talk to. So that's one of the things, yeah. And I assume it's the same with the wedding, right? Like you get married, and you know your first marriage is something unique, but after that, you're less willing to put with the bullshit. Who would want multiple? I can fix all of them. I think even if you're a rich Saudi who has multiple women, only one of those wives is his real life. I'm actually curious though, because I don't speak with many Muslims, and I don't think I actually know one that has multiple girlfriends or multiple wives. I do assume, but like even for children, right? Like most parents would never admit, but they do have like a preferred child, like one that they care about more than the others. So it is true. Like maybe yeah, like someone does have like the preferred wife out of several, but obviously like he would not say that. It's unfortunate when you see a friend keep dating the same type of toxic person repeatedly. Yeah, but like maybe he likes that particular aspect, you know? Like from the outside it may look toxic, but for him that's the spice of the relationship. This is narrow-minded and immature. Plenty of children and happy marriages from the second and the third try. Well, I'm sure it is, Holly, but at the same time, why risk it? Like, if you have the opportunity, you know, like there is a reason why secondhand is cheaper than the product that comes from the manufacturer. I'm sure that there are plenty of children and happy marriages from the second and the third try, but there are also plenty unhappy marriages at the second and the third try. And I'm willing to bet that statistically speaking, the first marriages are more successful than the second or the third. And furthermore, it's exactly what I've been saying. Why would I want another guy in my life? Like, why would I want the first father to come and visit? Or, you know, to get involved? Like, no, obviously not. So, you know, if that's what you want, like, I hope you find a nice husband who is at his fourth marriage. Has like 5 kids and wants to make a proper lady out of you. I mean, if that's what you're into, that's nice. But I didn't want that, and I can understand why other people don't. After the first, the percentages go down. Yeah, I know the statistics. Again, I'm saying that it's not that there may not be a single woman, a single mother that is perfect. Of course. And by the way, like this is another thing. When you're a man and you get of a certain age and you still don't have a wife, your chances, like your dating options are limited dramatically. So, like at my age, if I look around at the women that are, you know, 10 years younger, all the way up to my age, most of them have boyfriends. Like most of them are married. The ones that aren't are single mothers. So you also need to take that into consideration. There's even a joke here in Romania. It's like women are like parking lots. The good ones are taken. The ones available are for the mentally handicapped. I'm a mother and I'm perfect. Well, me too, Markoto. Me too. It comes down for the question, if it did not go well for the first guy, why would it work well for you? Yeah, especially when you have to take into account that there were children. It's like, okay, so she had kids and it didn't work well with the first guy. And of course, you know, like she's going to say, oh, well, he was abusive or whatnot. But it's like trying to explain a job gap at an interview at a company. Like, you may have had a very good reason to have the job gap. There may be many employees which have a job gap, and they would be very good employees. Unfortunately, however, statistically. By the way, I will give you a freebie. Do you know what you should say if you have a job gap at an interview? Like, I will blow your mind right now. I will blow your mind. You'll be like, oh my god, I never expected that. So if you have a job gap at an interview, you should say, I am under NDA and I cannot disclose what I've been doing during that time period. Right? And then they can't pressure you. Like, well, I'm under NDA. I can't talk about it. It's like, why is there like 2 years where you didn't do anything? I'm sorry, I was under NDA. A lot of government work is NDA. If you're like in a corporate environment, especially if you're like an artist or a creator, NDA. No, not COVID. No, not bullshit. No, NDA. Matter non-disclosure agreement. And if they keep pressuring and they want you, like, come on, you need to talk. You need to talk about it. It's like, well, no, because I gave my word. Who told me about that trick? None of your business. Why do you assume someone told me? Why couldn't I think about this trick myself? Huh? Why could I not think about it myself? No, but like NDAs actually work like that. So you can't talk about where you worked. You can't talk about what you did. So usually it's government work, but it can also be corporate work. Like, for example, my artists are under NDA. Wouldn't that be lying? Of course. But like, do you think the company doesn't lie to you at the interview? Do you think like the company is flat out telling you, yeah, so we're going to try to make you work 10 hours a day. Like, we got this open office, which is literally so we can spy on you. And we also want to push the psychological effect so that it makes you feel guilty if you actually walk out after 8 hours because your colleagues are still sitting down. And this whole thing that we're talking about, the corporate family, it's actually bullshit, right? Like, we want you to care about the corporation, but we don't care about you. Like, they don't talk about that thing. You know, like, ask them, okay, so do you have questions for us? Yeah, like, how much am I actually making your company? Like my position, my job, like, how much money am I actually creating for you? And how much of that money that I'm creating for you are you giving me in return? They're not going to tell you shit. The best way to piss off an HR lady, you know, is to say, all right, so we have transparency here. Why can everyone see my computer, but I can't see yours? You're literally the only person here, besides management. Well, actually, you are management, but you're literally the only person here, besides the CEO, which I can't see what you have on your computer. Like, your computer screen is facing away from me, but if you come into my open office, you can literally see what I'm doing at the computer all the time, every time. Why is that? American Outlier. I am one of 25 kids. Jesus fucking Christ. Dude. I wish I was like that. Holy shit, you're never going to be able... Do you know how bad it is when you're a single kid and, you know, your parents are getting old and they pass away and you're wondering, like, oh, so there's going to be a day when I will literally have no family left. And you're so fucking lucky, man. And I can say that from his behavior, the reason I am waiting for marriage. Also, I love that man to his dying breath. He knew he made bad choices young, but he did reflect and acknowledge it. I wonder, like, how it's like to have 25 kids. Holy shit, that's like a kindergarten. You're never going to be alone. Like, no matter what you have, you still have people that will be there for you. Men have more dating options up to 55, 60 years. Yes. So, like, the idea that the genders aren't equal is absolutely true. When a woman is young, so we're talking about age 18, maybe 25, she's the center of attention. She manages to be the heart of every social circle. She's got a lot of power with her femininity. But then it changes, right? Because when you're a man, when you're between the age of 18 and 25 and you're single, you're living with your parents, you don't have any cash, no one really gives a shit, right? But once you start making money, once you start climbing that social ladder, then all of a sudden you actually get more and more prestige. You get your own house, your own place, and then women start caring about you. And the good thing is that you can date younger women, right? So as a man, you can definitely, which is kind of funny because you get like all these women that are lied to by feminism, that you need to be wealthy in order to have status, right? Which is true. Like, if you're wealthy, you get to do whatever you want, but like, that's, you shouldn't think that that's going to land you a good man, because the good men, they don't care about you. They want the 18-year-old supermodel. Like that's the whole thing, right? Like, there were like some female CEOs being upset because, like, first of all, they want to date within their own wage bracket, right? So they're like, well, I'm making this amount, right? I'm making like $500,000 a year because they're CEOs. So I want a man that makes as much as me. But the man who makes as much as her is either married or he's looking at the 18-year-old supermodel that doesn't even have a job. Yeah. Was the Slim called Slim? I don't know. Anyway, right. Let's look at the circus. The first ever cisgender straight white male president in the history of the United States that got an indictment. Where the hell is it? Because I had it saved. I had this shit saved. Ah, here we go. The revolver. The revolver wants me to subscribe. I do not want to subscribe, revolver. I want to read the news. Soros-backed DA who's going after President Trump. This evening, we contacted Mr. Trump's attorney to coordinate his surrender to the Manhattan DA's officer for arrangement on a Supreme Court indictment, which remains under seal. Again, this is why the media was like, oh, well, I'm glad that he probably did it. But they don't even know what he's being indicted of. He's expected to turn himself in on Tuesday. By the way, he wants to have handcuffs. An overlooked reason for why the Democrats are indicting President Trump that the New York Times puts out in their opening paragraph. This is about historically marking President Trump as much as anything else, right? So forever mark him as the nation's first former president with charges. If your consultants are going to write a statement about President Trump being indicted, please make sure that they have the decency to use his name. Look, I didn't write the article, all right? But yes, apparently the reason they call this guy Soros DA is because George Soros has pumped a lot of money in the campaign, as I understand, right? So when he was running, and apparently, like, this is a useful tactic because very few people pay attention to these small races where you have prosecutors and like non-political basically, and they do matter a lot, right? It's not as significant as when you have like a senator or a House representative or a president, but in America, yeah, you vote for the prosecutors, and we don't do that in Europe. But they are very influential. The weaponization of the legal system to advance a political agenda turns the rule of law on its head. It's un-American. The Soros-backed Manhattan District Attorney has consistently bent the law to downgrade felonies and to excuse criminal conduct. To have Ron DeSantis stand out for Trump is also very rare, right? Because they are heading for a presidential race, and it's interesting because usually they do not help their candidates, right? I remember when Trump and Ted Cruz went at it. Usually they will have a spat before the election, and after the election things cool down and they're friends again. I mean, Kamala Harris also went hard after Joe Biden. So it's unusual for this to happen. But yeah, he did refuse to use Trump's name, which, you know, like, fair enough. Whatever. Like, people know what he's talking about. It is beyond belief that the district attorney, Alvin Bragg, has indicted a former president and current presidential candidate for pure political gain, arresting a presidential candidate on a manufactured basis. By the way, I do think that this is going to help Trump in the ratings. I mean, I'm curious to look at his approval rating. If anything, it's probably going to go up, as they're going to consider him to be a martyr. Manhattan DA is undermining America's confidence in our legal system. Bragg is the same Soros-funded prosecutor who refuses to prosecute violent crimes and who has downgraded more of the half of the felonies to misdemeanors. I do not know the man's political career, but a lot of people are saying that. The regime occupying our country and systemically killing America is more afraid of President Donald J. Trump, says Representative Paul Gossard. They are afraid they can't beat him in the polls. From 2024, and President Trump will now be stronger than you can ever imagine. Yeah, I do think that's the case. If anything, like, people like the underdog, right? And what can be more underdog-ish than being the first ever indicted for the crime? A sitting president of the United States presides over a corrupt justice system. Tell me you're a banana republic without telling me you're a banana republic. I'm very free, I never voted, but after seeing this, I'm voting now. Well, yeah, see, there you go. Like, there's a lot of people that are going to... oh, look, it's Carl. It's Carl. Prove your innocence, says the world's best insider trader. That's not how it works, Nancy. We assume one's innocent and prove their guilt. This is so fucking true. I remember when he was also investigated. I think it was like Russia collusion. And they said it's like, well, yeah, like someone, not even in the media. It was actually, I don't remember if it was the judge, the prosecutor, or a lawyer, but they said something like, we couldn't prove that he did it, but that doesn't prove that he's innocent. And I'm like, motherfucker, do you understand how the law works? It's like, you don't prove your innocence. Holy shit, like that is some Stalinistic way of thinking. Like, no one proves that you can't even prove your innocence. Right? Because if that was the case, like, if you had to prove your innocence, imagine that, I don't know, you are arrested, and they say yesterday you committed a crime, prove you didn't do it. Like, what? You know, and you can say, well, I wasn't out, I was in my house. Can you prove you are in our house? No, I was asleep. It's like, oh, well. Like, imagine if the justice system worked like that. Like, do you have receipt? You know, like, someone stops you and it's like, okay, so you stole your phone. It's like, no, I didn't steal my phone. It's my phone. Like, can you prove it's your phone? Do you have a receipt? No, because I bought it like 5 years ago. Well, okay, maybe a phone is not a good idea because, you know, it has information on it. It's got data on it. But, like, let's say, you know, they stop you and they say, well, you have an expensive watch. Prove you didn't steal it. And I'm like, well, I bought it. Do you have the receipt? No, because I bought it last year. What? No receipts, it means you stole it. Right? So it is an insane framework. You can't prove you're innocent. I mean, in some situations you can. Like, this is the idea why saying that believe all women is unfair and unjust. Because, right, so basically she says, okay, so this guy raped me. And now it's up to the guy to prove that he didn't rape her. It's like, how do you do that? And in some cases you can. Like, for example, you can say, like Kavanaugh, right? Like, Kavanaugh had, like the probably the last person they thought they're going to fuck with, like an autism of that level, to actually keep an agenda from 20 years in the past. And he was like, well, no, like, on that date where she accuses me of having done it, I was in another country, right? So that is a way you can prove your innocence. It's like, well, I couldn't have raped her because my cock isn't that long. You know, it's not 1,000 kilometers long, so I can fuck her from New York when she's in San Francisco. And unfortunately, it's physically impossible. But yeah, it is what it is. It is very rare. Like, honestly, like, proving that you did not rape someone, especially when you actually did have sex and it was consensual. Like, it's incredibly difficult to prove. So this is why we assume that the person is innocent until proven guilty. But you do have banana republics or thin horn republics, as they call them. I feel like if Trump is the candidate again, he's going to lose again. Oh, who knows? No one expected that he would win the first time around, so. 1,000 kilometers are not folding in half for anyone. Oh, I see what you did there. Scat Francisco, yes. Well, as they said in the New York Times, right? Like the idea that maybe this is just so that they can say that, well, he's the first ever president that got convicted of a crime. History in the making. I would not put it past them, especially when the entire ideology is the first drum roll ever. If I ask someone, it's like, okay, like, who's the first black woman that stars in a Marvel movie? I probably don't know, but it's historical according to them. Yeah, it is what it is. It's going to be a circus, like, especially if this is live. Any YouTuber that covers it is going to make money. Like, regardless if you hate, if you like, if you don't care about Trump, if you just covered that live coverage, you're going to get a lot of views. All right, so tomorrow is 1st of April. God, I hate that day. You know, when I was a kid, I liked it, but now it's, I don't know, like they somehow managed to corporatize 1st April. I don't know how though. At least they managed not to sell you shit, which is a good idea. But they did corporatize it. So there was a time when 1st of April was like just making pranks and jokes on people, but now every single company is like, Blizzard is releasing tongue-in-cheek patch notes, and they're going to release something that looks like a video game that would be cool, but it's actually an April jokes, right? There's websites that fuck up, and I remember like when YouTube did the 1st of April and all the videos were upside down. Just annoying shit, basically. It's I hate it. Do Clinton, Bush, and Obama? Never. I think like Clinton actually did have a case where he allegedly bribed a woman to stop talking about some rape accusation. Anyway, right, so going back to 1st of April, horrible. 2nd of April, it's my birthday, and I do gotta make the birthday stream, right? It's very important. Birthday stream. Maybe I'll make money to buy another succubus. Holy shit, like, making video games is expensive, man, and everyone wants more money. Oh my god. But hopefully once I start the Kickstarter, or I figure out a way in order to get some funding, that would be great. There are video games that make like $7,000 a month. Holy shit, if I make $7,000 a month, I would have to like remake the entire video game. Like I would just make it the most professional looking game ever. And by the way, I'll tell you this. Alright, I'll tell you this. I go to my publisher. And he's like, V, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, I'm making a video game. Why is your video game better looking than any other game on Steam in the lewd category? And I'm like, I mean, dude, isn't this how you're supposed to make it? No. And he actually shows me what's on Steam, and I'm like, dude, like, my game does look better than anything. Like, visually speaking, it's a lot better. And he's like, V, you have lighting in the bottle, don't fuck it up. And I'm like, you know, like, if the artist leaves during the production, there's nothing I can do about it. But, like, other than that, yeah, I mean, I hired the best people that I knew, and I did try to put the effort in it. Like, my favorite part was when I was writing the story. There were people that were like, oh, well, it's, you know, like, people are here for the lewd images. They don't care about the story. I'm like, no, absolutely not. No, it's going to have a story. It's going to make sense. It's like, what do you mean? No. It's like, it doesn't need to have gameplay. Like, no, what do you mean it doesn't need to have game? It's a video game. It needs to have gameplay. It's going to have gameplay. It's going to have story. It's going to have good graphics. I mean, come on. What are we doing? We're making a video game. If it's not something that I would play, I'm not putting it to the public. It's be subverse. I don't have like that expectations. I'm like, dude, it's my first video game. I want something small and contained. And if it sells well, I'm going to make a part 2. But like, come on, let's at least shove the game out the window first. And have like, 10 hours of gameplay. We're going to charge it at $14. People will understand. Small studio, small budget, one man. Come on, we can do it. Yeah. I thought about your advice about having separate social media for work and personal life. Should I also use separate emails as well? No, not necessarily. Depends. I mean, depends on what your email is, but mostly no. Unless if your email is like Mr. Trigglypuff or, I don't know, Little Angel, heart, Daddy loves horsecock. Like, if your email is like that, then maybe you should change. Meru the Succubus had the story. No. Like, the thing is that I'm not saying that other games did not have a story. But what I am saying is that Meru the Succubus looks shit compared to my game. Like, look at my Stacy Succubus compared to Meru. Massive difference. Startling difference. Like, there's no fucking way. You put my Succubus, you put Villy-chan next to Meru. Meru looks like a tramp. Yeah. I'm not even exaggerating, like literally. Anyway. Oh, soundtracks is also very important. I spent 2 days trying to find the perfect theme song. For the they all have different theme songs. And they have ambience in their room and shit. And I'm like, okay, well, the room of the Succubus needs to have the color that complement her, so that when the Succubus is on the screen in her room, right, you have the map in the background, and it needs to have like the complementary colors so that it stands out. Like, I don't want like any colors. Dude, like, I'm taking this shit seriously. I'm not It's because when Jordan Peterson got locked out of his YouTube account, he also lost his Gmail. Yeah, I mean, okay, depends what the fuck you're doing. Like, if you're an edgy boy number 47, then yeah, you should have different emails. But no, like, I was taking all of these into consideration. So yeah. Sounds like a work of art? I don't know. I just, again, like, I want to make a game that I would play. That's it. And and if it's something that can be done and it doesn't take a lot of time, like, for example, complementary colors. It's like, all right, what the fuck is that? Go on Google. Complementary color. All right, so you made the room orange. All right, what color complements do I? All right, I want the Succubus to have this color. It needs to be work of art. It reminds me like Foldable Human and all those artsy games. Just no. No, but it looks great. So it's all up to the two things now. Number one, no one leaves, right? So if I have like the artist walking off during the project, that's not up to me. It happens, it happens. Number two, me losing my YouTube channel or my income. Well, I will have to stop. Number three, the coder. I don't know anything about coding. The guy looks serious. I trust him. But again, I don't know coding. I know artists, I know animators, I know marketing, but when it comes to coding, I know shit. Still, the coder is a person which has a PhD. He did video games before. I think he's going to do a good job. So yes, complementary colors. Yes, that's the make them fear you. No. Like what I found out about working with people. So let's see. I have they're all freelancers. Like they're not employed by me. But I have an artist, I have an animator, I have a writer, I have the coder, and I have another guy, right? So 5 people. I do not allow them to talk to each other. Because drama. Like, if they don't have to talk to each other, they don't talk to each other. At all. Right? So the artist talks with the animator. The coder talks with the other person that's designing the maps. But the coder doesn't talk with the animator. The coder doesn't talk with the artist. There's no fucking reason. What should they talk about? They have nothing to talk about. There is nothing to discuss. Because egos come into the question. They start, causing drama. Like maybe one of them doesn't like the personality of the other. Maybe they can insult them. No, absolutely not. Right? The screenwriter gets to talk with the coder. Yeah. But like, Oh my fucking god, that's a good word. Yes, compartmentalization. Compartmentalization. They don't need to know. Not to mention, like, what if someone is the idea guy, right? Like, what if the coder tells the animator, well, why can't we do this and this and that? And the animator goes, no, fuck you, I'm doing it. Oh, so now they're upset. Right? Why? No. You talk to me. Talk to me and I talk to them. It will take time, trust me. It took me 2 years to get my manga up and going. Well, probably. I don't know. But the way things are going, I almost have all the art. So, there's that. It's a secret project. It's not a secret. Like, I told them. Like, if they ask me, I'm like, if they go like, what is the animator doing? I'm telling them. But they don't get to talk with the animator. That's it. The animator doesn't get to talk to the coder either. No, it's not a need-to-know basis. Like, I'm not building the atomic bomb, right? But I was saying, it's like, if they need to talk, but like, they don't even need to talk. Like, that's the thing. What the fuck does the coder need to speak with the animator of? Or what would the coder have to speak with the screenwriter about? Huh? Nothing. You know, if there is something to discuss, you talk to me. But like, so far, nothing came out. Because they don't need to discuss. The animator does need to talk with the artist. That is true. Because like, they're like, oh, well, I need you to draw it on layers and make absolutely sure that this is like this and this is like that. I can't animate this. Can you draw that? Okay, fine. Go and talk about it. Right? The coder needs to talk with the map maker. It's like, okay, so you put the maps in the Unity engine, but when I'm going there, like, I see some clipping, and I do not like the shading here, and blah, 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 and this asset doesn't work. Okay, fine, go talk about it, right? I'm creating mini Soviet. No, you don't tell them to keep it professional, because, like, again, people can get passionate, and they can have, like, a different vision. Like, for example, the map maker was perking out at my screenwriter because the screenwriter wanted a grandiose hotel, and the map maker was like, dude, I'm not paying for grandiose, and we don't have enough assets. Like, if you're paying me more and you're giving me more assets, we can make it grandiose. And he was like, oh, yeah, because like, the writer doesn't understand the budget restraints, right? As I said in the previous stream. He was like, oh, why don't we make a scene in the bathtub, right? Because, like, there's a bathtub succubus streamer, you know, like a Twitch streamer. She's got a bathtub. Like, why don't we make a scene in the bathtub? And I'm looking at him, and I'm like, okay, so you want me to go to Romania, Chan, and tell that woman, animate water. Like, she's going to murder me. Like do you understand? Like, she'll probably, or she will say, sure, V, I will animate water, $5,000. And then it's like, oh, well, what if we don't show the water? Like, I had, because I was talking with the coder about it, because I'm asking the coder now. It's like, can you animate water? And he's like, well, no, but like, we can not show the water. And I'm like, okay, so if we don't show the water, then what's the fucking point in doing the scene? It's like, yeah, it's like, there needs to be a bathtub scene. Sure, you know, when I'm going to get $7,000 for the project per month, I'm going to do a bathtub scene, so you animate water. Do you understand how difficult that fucking is? Just make a pane of blue texture, so it looks like shit. I don't want my game to look like shit. Like, literally, everything looks good. And then you have, like, the water that looks like shit. Nobody needs to communicate. That's wrong. Like, some people do need to communicate. The map maker and the coder need to communicate. Because, like, when the map maker puts the maps in the game, he needs to be told if the assets are okay. Like, the way it works, the map maker does his stuff, the coder then checks it out, and if it's good, I pay him. If not, I tell, like, do it again. Do a bathtub shower combo. Holy shit. Are you going to animate hair? Probably. It depends. I don't know. I haven't talked with Romania-chan, but I think I will animate hair, yes. The bathtub has cream in it, not water. Oh. Use still water with Steam animations? Holy shit. Marius. You're a fucking genius. Oh my god. I can actually do that. You know what? I'm going to tell Romania chat. Oh my god, like water with Steam. Alright. Let me know what you guys think.